Hi, and welcome into the Summer Wellness Series, Best Tips by Global Experts. I am Fiorenza Rossini, NLP and life coach, working with driven millennials to create a happy, fulfilling, and balanced life. I'm also the founder of this group, the Busy Bees community, and today I'm your host, and I'm welcoming Andrea. Andrea from Ecuador, actually. So it's going to be a very international interview. I'm super excited. So yes, hi Andrea, welcome. How are you?
Great. Hi everyone. Thanks everyone that are joining us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. So yes, I'm from Ecuador, South America, a city called Guayaquil. Everyone calls me Andy. I think it's easier for everyone to pronounce sometimes.
Yeah, I know people call me Fio as well. It's easier.
So I try to use Andy for everyone to have an easier version of my name. I'm 29. I got married a year ago. I'm a yoga teacher. I started my yoga journey 8 years ago, actually. And 4 years ago, I decided I wanted to certify myself as a yoga teacher. So I actually went to the States to a school called Kripalu, that it's in Boston, Massachusetts. It's an amazing school. It's actually a school of yoga and Ayurveda. So it's a really complete school. I had a great time. I learned so much. And then when I actually came back from Kripalu, my school there, I didn't dedicate myself to being a yoga teacher. Turn out, I ended up being an art teacher at early childhood, in early childhood. And then a year ago, I decided that I needed to start over. I was getting married, and I was like, you know what? I need to do something new. And I decided I'm going to be a yoga teacher. I've been practicing for more than 8 years. I'm a certified yoga teacher. I'm going to do it. And yeah, that's my story. And I started my Instagram account, and thanks to that I met Pio. So it's incredible the things that has happened over the past year, actually.
And tell us more about your yoga teaching. Is there a particular style that you personally like the most and that you decided to teach, or is it a mixture of everything?
It's actually, right now, it's a mixture. When I started in Hatha Yoga, that it's traditional yoga. Then I went really deep into Ashtanga, that I really like Ashtanga yoga. And I actually, right now, I practice Yin Yoga, Ashtanga, Hatha, Vinyasa, Hot Yoga. But then when I teach, I just integrate all of those things, and I just flow with depends on the student also, because I teach private lessons. So I really like that because I get to know more the person that I'm working with.
Yeah.
And I can really teach. It's much easier to teach and for the student to learn. So yeah.
And what about your own yoga practice? I'm quite curious to know about it.
Yoga practice. So it's more it's becoming a routine. I wake up every morning. I try to meditate. I always try to meditate. That's really important for me. And then I try to practice at least 30 minutes. And then, I don't know, you're not going to believe it, but I only put YouTube, and then I put yoga classes or flows. And then I follow a YouTube video. Or I also have, there's the Yoga Glow account, Cody app. Those are two other things that they're really, really good if you want to practice online or you cannot go to a studio. But it's depending on the mood. Sometimes I put a YouTube video and I flow with the video. And sometimes I feel like I want to be creative and I want to create a new class. So I flow with what I'm feeling, and then poses just start to flow and come into action. And yeah, that's how I also create my classes by I like to to first practice them myself, see how I feel doing certain asanas. They're called asanas. And then if I really like how I feel when I finish creating my own class, it's like, okay, this is perfect. I can teach it because I know you'll feel great after it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like my morning practice. And I usually try to do it in the mornings because that's like, okay, I did a check. I have to go to work. And then the day just goes by. And sometimes it's like 9 p.m. and you didn't practice. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
And Andy, how did you get into yoga? How did you initially know, about yoga?
Yeah, I love that question because I started yoga because I had anxiety attacks, and it was like 9 years ago, so way back. And my therapist back then told me, like, you should try yoga. And I was like, you know what? I'll try yoga. Like, I'm not gonna lose anything. I'll just go to a class and try it. Actually, the first class that I went, I didn't like it. And I was like, this is not for me. Too boring, too weird. They're doing like weird things with their bodies and talking weird things. I was like, no, it's not for me. And then a year after, I changed therapist. And that new one told me, you should try yoga. And I was like, I already tried and I didn't like it. And she was like, just try it one more time. So I actually went one more time, and that was it for me. I think I was in another place in my life, like when I went for the second time, because yoga just, for me, started being, like 8 years ago, a place where my anxiety could not enter. So it was like my yoga mat, and myself, and anxiety out. Like it was like this little rectangle, the only place in the world where anxiety could not attack me. So that's how actually my yoga practice started, and then my love for yoga and like my obsession for yoga, because it's like a barrier for me, a way to keep me healthy, not only physically but emotionally and mentally, because you learn to breathe, you learn to meditate, you learn things that they're really helpful for any person, not only for people with anxiety.
Yeah, definitely. And so within your current clients, or just like your past and current clients, have you noticed that there is a common reason that pushes them, towards a yoga class? Or is it anxiety, or is it something else? Is it the spirituality aspect? Is there something that is common?
For me, everyone new to yoga, but this is not like the rule. But I do think that most people that end up in yoga, they come from a troubled background, to say something like that. Like they come from anxiety or depression, or like from a not so good place in their life. So that's like really common. So usually when I'm like in a yoga class, I see everyone and I'm like, oh, I feel like you feel connected. Like you understand the person that is right next to you, because you know they've had like problems or issues. And I'm not saying it's everyone that it's in a yoga class had something. There are people that have like totally normal lives with zero issues, and they just like doing yoga. So it's not like the rule, but I would dare to say that it's 80% of people that end up in yoga had some sort of issue before.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, I do think that it definitely helps me, be calmer. And when I feel a bit stressed, it definitely helps me. There are, some postures more than others sometimes, but then again, it may depend on the day and what my mood is, what I've been going through.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what you just said is like so right. Like your practice is not going to be the same every day. It depends on your mood and on your body, how it feels. So there are some days that you're like super flexible or super strong and super balanced, and you're like rocking your practice, and then the next day you go back to your mat and you can't do what you did yesterday. So it's like, and it's crazy. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I I mean, lately I've been really enjoying hot Bikram yoga classes.
Yeah.
Just because I had, many like intense days, and it really helped me. I think the heat, in the classroom, it really helped me disconnect from what was going on in the outside world, like all my thoughts. Because I mean, when you just static in that like heated type of room, it's okay. Like you don't necessarily feel that it's hot. But then when you start moving, actually, you're like, oh my God, I'm completely sweating. And then you have to focus, right? So you can't have all these other thoughts in your mind. So you just let them go. And then actually, it just becomes so much peaceful.
I think your thoughts melt literally with the heat. Like everything.
Absolutely. They sweat away.
They sweat away because I do like, I do not enjoy so much Bikram because it's always the same sequence, and I'm telling you, it depends on the person. But I've actually thought I do hot yoga, but like a vinyasa regular class in a heated room, 40 degrees, and that's crazy. I tried it twice, and I was like, I almost died. Like you're so wet, and you don't need to have like a million towels, like the big one for the mat, and like 10 more towers to just to try to keep yourself not pulling or I think in English, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, well, it happened to me once. I was running late. Like my day was so intense that I was actually running late for the hot yoga class, and I forgot to take the towels. I had just one towel for the shower at the end. I didn't have any spare one. So I just had me and the mat. And it was, I don't know why I'm saying this because it's quite embarrassing. But yeah, it was hard.
It's like trying to do yoga inside a pool. It's like so slippery. That's the word. It's like so slippery. You can't be in any posture because you're sleeping. So
yeah. No, absolutely. But I mean, as you said, it depends because I know, a year ago I didn't I had tried a hot Bikram yoga class and I was like, oh no, that's not for me. But then, I mean, it's as you say, it depends what moment you are in your life, and then sometimes you just change, the perspective or the perception of it, and then it becomes, different.
Exactly. Because I'm telling you, and I've seen it now, I have, phases identified. There is a certain time in the year that I'm only going to do yin yoga. So I just lay in my mat and do yin yoga with blocks and straps because I don't want to do vinyasa. I don't want to sweat. I don't want to do any effort. So I just lay there and stretch for an hour doing yin yoga. But then there are other parts in the year that I just want to do vinyasa and flow. And there are other parts where I want to go to Bikram or hot yoga. So it actually depends on, how you're feeling, what's happening in your life. I do think the season also, seasons influence a lot. For me, we only have 2 seasons here in Ecuador. We don't have snow. We have super hot and then not that hot. But we don't have cold ever. But we do have those 2 seasons. And this part of the year for me, it's the best part of the year. That is it's not so hot. The not so hot part of the year. So yeah.
So are you more, do you feel more into doing something more active, or is it more
right now, this part of the year, it's my most productive part of the year. Then December comes and I'm unproductive. It's too hot, too humid. I'm I can't deal with the weather. So yeah, I love this part of the year. I really believe that seasons can affect your mood. So
yeah, no, definitely. And I think I see what you mean. And now, well, the UK is not necessarily the place where the summer is the hottest, right? But somehow it's even when we had very hot days when it was when it reached 30 degrees, I felt quite active. And, I didn't go to a Bikram, hot Bikram class because maybe that would have been a bit too much, but I was feeling quite active. And then when it's winter, and I think winter is colder than what you have in Ecuador, I feel like I just want to, cuddle up with a blanket, close to the fireplace and just be there with a tea or something. And then just some restorative yoga could actually work. At least last winter it felt like that. Let's see next winter.
Because definitely it's gonna depend on what's going on in your life. So
no, totally. And so, Andy, so I know that yoga is definitely a big part of your life, but I understand that you also have other interests and other parts that you are trying, that you're working on making a business out of it. And I would love to know more about it.
Exactly, yes. So I've always loved clothing and essential oils. So when I started Present Yogi, I never thought I was going to do something else besides yoga. I thought I was going to only dedicate myself to yoga. But then months went by and I started seeing I can seize that opportunity. Maybe I should try to do something else out of my name that it has become like a brand. It's a small brand, but I'm trying to make it a brand. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a clothing line, obviously related to sports. It will be like a sports line. And then an essential oils. I'm going to start doing an aromatherapy, there you go, course, because I've always loved essential oils. I'm actually a tea sommelier, so I enjoy everything that has to do with smell and tasting. And so I'm starting those two things. Actually, my clothing line, I was going to launch it a month ago. I think, it was a month ago, but things happened, and the person that was doing my clothing line did a terrible job, so I wasn't able to launch it, and it was an awful month last month, but everything happens for a reason, and now I have to start over, and so those two things are coming up, hopefully soon.
So many questions. I have so many questions. So you've mentioned actually the name of your brand, and that is true that we didn't talk about it yet. So Present Yogi, I really like it. And can I ask you, how did you choose it? How did that name came to you?
Well, it was actually, I think it was always there for me. Because like I told you, I had anxiety attacks, and with yoga and my therapies, the word present was always there. Like, you need to be present. Don't think about the future. It'll make you more anxious. Don't think about the past. You'll fall into depression. So it was always me. Like, okay, I need to live a day at a time. I need to live a moment at a time. I need to be present every single day to keep myself healthy, mentally healthy and physically healthy. Mm-hmm. So when I decided to do Present Yoga, I was like, okay, what word connects with me the most? What word represents my life, represents my beliefs, represents what I think, what I want to transmit to other people? And I was like, it's there, present. So Present Yogi.
I like that. And so you are keeping the name as the same name for the clothing and for the essential oils as well?
Actually, it's gonna be the clothing line is gonna be Feel. The name is gonna be Feel by Present Yogi, and the essential oil is gonna be Breathe by Present Yogi. So
okay.
Yeah, there's like Feel and Breathe.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that the clothing line is gonna have some sport items. Does that include yoga clothes?
Of course. It's like people are gonna think that it's yoga clothes, because I was like, I don't wanna only be yoga clothing. So it's gonna be leggings and tops and like nice t-shirts. But then I'm gonna have sweatpants too. Everything, but I want it to be like you can use it like to go and have breakfast with some friends. So it's gonna be like, I'm not saying formal, but like more nice than usual regular sports clothing, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like hopefully it'll be soon, because it's been like really, it's hard. People told me like it's hard to like do something out of nothing, like starting your company or your own clothing line. So yeah, it takes time and it's hard, but I think that the longer you wait for something and the harder that you work for something, the product or the end result is going to be 1,000 times better. So I firmly believe that what happened a month ago needed to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, it happened, right? It doesn't have to be, perfect the first time round, and sometimes you have some hiccups with your team, and then that's also a learning process for you, because then you know what type of people you can maybe work with in a more efficient way, or how you feel comfortable with working with your team. So It's a win-win in the end.
Exactly. I think it was a win-win. It wasn't so easy to see it as a win-win like the first couple of days. But yeah, it was a win-win for everyone. Yeah.
And what about the essential oil? So you mentioned that you love essential oil. So how do you incorporate this in your routine?
I have my where you put the essential oils and a diffuser or infuser. I always forget.
Diffuser, yeah.
Diffuser, there you go. So I have diffusers everywhere in this house. I actually there's a company called Young Living. I don't know if you heard about it. I think it's
I haven't.
But I love, because they're like super natural, vegan, not tested on animals. And I think that smells do have a positive or a negative effect on whatever you're feeling. So as a yoga teacher, in the end of every class that I give, I do like a little massage, and I've always used essential oils, not mine, because I didn't have essential oils made from me, but that's how the idea started. I'm like, I use essential oils a lot. I use it in my house. I use it at the end of a practice with my students. I also use them as perfumes. You mix them with other oils and you have your perfume that it doesn't have chemics, like bad things on it. So I think it goes like perfect with what I do, actually, because I do use them a lot for everything.
What is your favorite essential oil? If you have one, or maybe if you have 2 or 3.
Lavender, it's like my favorite of all time. And then, oh my God, I have to Google those other 2, because it's Romero that I forgot the name, and ginger, those 3. Romero, I'll write it after, because it's
okay, cool.
I love ginger and lavender and Romero.
And so the lavender essential oil, how do you use it? Do you use it to relax?
Exactly.
What's your favorite use?
It's actually a relaxing oil. So I like apply a couple of drops in my wrist or here in my neck. And besides, it smells amazing, but I actually feel like much more cooler and relaxed and like smooth. I smell lavanda. I smell like lavanda all day.
I like that. I like lavender a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. And is there anything like a new practice or a new tool that you've incorporated recently into your life, or into your yoga teaching, that has helped you personally, but also in terms of keeping your focus for all the clothing and essential oil building that you're doing.
Yeah. Actually, I think because at the beginning, I didn't like to meditate. When I started doing yoga 8 years ago, I was like, I'll do everything but meditate. I couldn't, I thought it was so boring, blah, blah. But since I started doing since last year, actually, I was like, okay, I need to give meditation a second chance because I need to. So I started, and when I feel the most, like when I'm like super stressed with work and with all these things, I meditate. For me, meditation is the best. I also do a lot of breathing techniques. So I think like in this last year, I've incorporated meditation and breathing techniques much more because before that, I actually didn't. They were not important for my practice or my life.
You mentioned breathing technique. I think that's actually something that is super important, but it's hard for many people, right? Because it's something that we do all the time, right? We're alive, so we breathe, but it's not easy, especially to, get into conscious breathing and having that, having a technique help you to relax and, do you have any tips on that?
My favorite tip is you could put a reminder on your phone that just says, remember to breathe. Because like you say, we breathe unconsciously because we breathe. We don't think, okay, I'm breathing. So I always have like a reminder on my phone, or I have applications that like pop and it just says, remember to breathe. And then you just like take a minute breathing. And if you do this 3 times a day, like morning, noon, at night, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel much more better actually, because you are like your cells are getting much more oxygen. You're going to be able to think much sharper. Your body starts working different when you start consciously breathing. So a reminder in the phone, I think it's like the best tip. You don't have to think, it'll pop up, and you are always with your cell phone with you.
Yeah, so. That is true. And how do you breathe? Is that like a normal breathe? Is just like being conscious, or is that the yoga breathing?
You can actually start by just being conscious of your breathing, but I do actually practice some breathing techniques that are yoga techniques that are called Anuloma Viloma, Ujjayi breath, they're Kapalabhati. Those, I would suggest that you need to learn with a teacher, someone that knows. But then there is belly breathing that it's like so easy as you just, your belly, like a balloon, it expands like a balloon and then it contracts. And I usually do it only through the nose because I'm used to yoga. I only inhale when I'm consciously breathing. I inhale and I exhale through my nose. But when I'm when I really want to relax, I do it inhale nose, exhale mouth. Because when I do it only by my nose, I focus much more. It makes me much more like conscious of anything that's happening. So if it's something bad, it'll make it worse. I'm like more aware of that.
Yeah. And I think the belly breathing that you mentioned, it's quite powerful because it gives you balance. And actually, if you do it consciously, you do it the other way around compared to how you would do it when you're stressed, right? Because when you're stressed, it's like you exhale and the belly expands. Whereas with the belly breathing, like consciously, you inhale and the belly expands. Is that right?
Exactly. You inhale and it expands. And it's really, when I start teaching this to my students, it's really hard for them. I'm like, but I can't inhale and make my belly expand. But then with time, it just gets...
Yeah, I was the same. I actually discovered it in a Kundalini yoga class. And I was like, no, it's not working. It's not doing what you're saying. It's my body. It's wired the other way. And I think that day I like, it didn't work for me. Like I felt that physically I wasn't there. But then it's like, I forgot about it for, I don't know, maybe a few weeks or something. And then I had to do it again in another yoga class. And then it just came naturally. It's like my brain like assimilated how to do it. So it was quite fun.
I know. It's fun. And it's like everything in yoga. like the breathing will come to you at the perfect time, like your asanas, like everything you do in yoga, like in life, like things will come to you at the time they need to come. So
Absolutely. And now I'm so happy because it's like you mentioned it, and then I was like, okay, hold on, can I do it? And while we were talking, I did it. So I am like, yes. Now I can do it on demand.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so conscious of time, and before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you something maybe a bit more personal, something that I'm asking, everyone on the Summer Wellness series. Could you tell us something about you, Andy, from behind the scenes?
Something from me. Oh, okay. I'm a cat lover. I don't think that's behind the scenes because I always talk about Luna and have Luna in my Instagram account. But I really, really enjoy listening to music, watching the sunset. I live in an apartment and I'm fortunate enough to be able to see the sunset in the back of my apartment. So I enjoy watching the sunset, listening to music, being like, so I like surrounding myself with people that will give something positive to my life. Like during the past years, I've like eliminated a lot of people that weren't like affording me anything. Like they were just there because they were there. And so I don't have so many friends now. Like my circle is much smaller, but it's much more, it's more about quality, not quantity. So I try to to do that, those kinds of things. Yeah, that's Andy, and I love cats. I think
I love it. Yeah, I'm a cat lover too, and last time when we were talking on Skype, we were like taking selfies of us with our cats, so, yeah. And yeah, definitely. And to anyone who is like following you on Instagram, the pictures you have, the yoga postures of you and your cat, it's just like so cool. Each time it makes me smile.
I think Luna has I think everyone loves Luna. Like everyone's like, oh, I love Luna. More pictures of Luna. Luna is the cute. I'm like, I know Luna. Like, yeah, everyone loves her.
Yeah, she's like a star.
I know she's the star in the relationship with me. She's the star. I'm like just there.
So tell us, Andy, how can people follow you?
Okay, yeah, they can follow me through my Instagram account. That it's PresentYogi.ec, and I launched my webpage like 6 months ago, and my webpage is www.presentyogi.ec. And actually, in my webpage, you have asanas, poses that you can learn from scratch. I have the picture of, it's me doing, for example, Warrior 2. And then you have how to enter the posture, and then contraindications, and soon I will start posting videos of short sequences too.
Ah, that's great. That's awesome. Could you please post the link to the asanas and to your Instagram accounts in the comments so that people can find them just easily?
Of course I will. I'll put there my Instagram account and then the direct link to go to the gallery that it has photos of the asanas, and then it will soon have videos.
Awesome. I'm excited to see the new video coming in.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, thank you very much, Andy. It's been a pleasure to have you here and to be talking with you about yoga. I'm a big fan of yoga, as many busy bees here know, so it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for letting me have this opportunity to, first of all, meet you. I know it's online, but
thank you.
And letting me share like my practice, where I come from, why am I doing what I'm doing today, and yeah, I love technology. I told you that last time. I love how technology is connecting everyone.
That's amazing. Yes, and the Busy Bees community are definitely like becoming, more and more international. So I'm really loving that.
Yeah, I love the Busy Bee community. So really, thank you, Fio, for everything and for thinking of me to be part of this first wellness series that you created.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you very much. And to everyone who's watching, see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.